And also, in speaking of Steve comments, I know there's a big fuss about his statement on Jonathan Kuminga yesterday. And for our fans out there that haven't seen the statement, I'll give you some context. I think he was on with Tim Kawakami, and they were talking about JK, and Steve's answer was it's a tricky one because Jonathan obviously is gifted and wants to play a bigger role and wants to play more. And for me, I've been asked to win. And right now, he's not a guy who I can say I'm going to play 38 minutes with the roster that we have, Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond, and put the puzzle together that way and expect to win. And so I think, when I look at that statement, I think I take a couple things away from that statement. One being, he said, with this roster that we have, I'm not sure. He didn't say that Jonathan Kuminga can't play 38 minutes anywhere and be a successful player and be an impactful player and possibly reach his promise. That's not what he said. He said, with this roster, I don't see how that piece fits. Now, do I agree with that? I don't know that I necessarily agree because you just haven't seen it. And so I'm not of the mindset that something just doesn't work that you haven't had the chance to see much of. But also in saying that, I think when you look at Steve, one thing that he's shown as a coach is he going to make the decision that he think is best, regardless of what it comes with. We're talking about the same man, the same legend that didn't play Jason Tatum in the Olympics and dealt with all flack that came with that. But at the end, to his point, his ultimate goal is to win. And they won the gold medal, and that's what he set out to do. So here, I understand what he's saying. I don't necessarily agree because we just haven't seen it and seen much of it. So to actually know if it does work. But if you JK, you got to make the best decision for you. You got to try to put yourself in the best position that you can possibly put yourself in. And so I wouldn't get caught up into Steve said this or Steve said that. I think if you're Jonathan Kuminga in this moment, Steve Kerr is Steve Kerr. He's a legend. He will be a Hall of Famer. These are just the facts. And so in saying that, I'm not sure it's worth getting caught up into the, man, he said this, my next interview, whenever that may be, I need to respond. Quite frankly, I don't think JK should have a next interview until after free agency because for what? And I think in this position where JK has to be careful is Steve Kerr is the legend. Steve Kerr is one of the greatest coaches we've seen. JK can only lose here. Like, he can say something back. It could be the wrong thing, but he can only lose here. He has nothing to gain from trying to say something back, trying to respond to that. And he can only lose and hurt himself here. So don't say nothing. Like, free agency is happening. You got to go into free agency, whether that's, he's a restricted free agent. You got to figure out what's going to work for you. And that's going to happen anyway. So I would just say, man, Steve going to believe what he believes. And his beliefs has worked. He won 4 championships. So I'm not going to sit here and argue or go back and forth about his beliefs. And I don't think JK should either. But at the same time, if I'm JK and I'm in them shoes, I heard it. I need to move accordingly, figure out what's for me. But Steve, sit here and question him why. He got 4 championships. And I'll remind you, last time I said that to him, I said, wow, coach, we got 4 of them things. He said, I ain't got 4. I got 9. You got 4. So that man know how to win. And there's no point in sitting here trying to question what he knows. It's been proven that he knows how to win. He knows what it takes to win. I think JK is going to be a great player. Whether he show that with the Warriors or show that somewhere else, that's on him to figure that out and his team to figure that out. But what's been proven is Steve Kerr know how to win and JK is an incredible talent. Those things are mutually exclusive. Both things can be true. And they cannot work together. And that happens in this league all the time. It is what it is. I wouldn't make too much of it. I don't think he should make too much of it. I know Steve won't make too much of it. I think, JK, you heard it. It is what it is. I'm not sure that him saying that in words is any different than A, any conversation he's had with JK, or B, what you kind of thought. Anyway, so it's been said in words. It's been put in front of you. But I don't think it's really much different than what you already thought. Just put it in words. So moving on, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Free agency is happening. You got to figure that out. You got to navigate. In passing.
Tyrese Halliburton made 4 game-tying or go-ahead field goals in the final 5 seconds of the fourth quarter. That's third behind Reggie Miller with 5 and LeBron James with 8 since 1997, the year I graduated from high school. You weren't even born yet, bro.
That's crazy. Don't do me like that. I was 7.
You was a young junior deacon.
Yeah,
you feel me?
Yeah, absolutely. I was 7. You know what I'm saying? Still in Sunday school every Sunday.
Yeah.
Didn't go to church Sunday. You know what I'm saying? For sure. I was still in church choir at that age. You better believe
Me
it.
too, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
You have to.
I got out to church choir, BD. We were singing, Kerr Franklin, There's a Man. Standing.
Yeah.
I had the first part. There's a man standing. And I was almost talking it. And my family talked about me so bad. I said, there's a man. Oh yeah. And that was the end of my choir days when they talked about how I led out with the song. But yeah, bro, I was 7 at that time. That's crazy though.
We gotta put you at the alto. We gotta put you in the back, the alto.
Right. They had me the lead off batter. I set the tone. It wasn't a good tone.
You was done after that.
I remember my outfit, though. It's for Easter Sunday. I had some new black jeans my mom had bought me and a red #1 Maryland Terrapins jersey. I don't know why. It was a football
At
jersey.
church?
Yeah, bro. I ain't had no money like that. I ain't had no extra outfit. I had to wear that, I had to wear that outfit to school on Monday.
Damn.
I had to wear that outfit to school on Monday, BD.
Damn.
That was my Easter Sunday outfit. And the last name on the back of the #1 Maryland Terrapin jersey, it just said Terrapins. So that was my choir days. 97, that's what I had going on, baby.
That's so killer.
The Golden State Warriors are likely to be active in the free agent and trade markets this summer, and one player in particular appears to be at the top of the list: Minnesota Timberwolves. Big man Naz Reid has been an enormous part of back-to-back runs to the Western Conference Finals and is beloved in Minneapolis. That said, the 25-year-old center can opt into free agency this summer and may prove too expensive for the Wolves to keep. Given the Warriors' needs and their likelihood of summer activity to improve a roster that earned its way into the second round of the Western Conference playoffs. This postseason, Bovada Sportsbook listed the Dubs as favorites to land Reid in the coming months. Reid isn't a regular starter, though he did win the league's 6th Man of the Year award 2 seasons ago, and can offer Golden State some important elements missing from its roster. Reid, a 6-year veteran of the NBA, has played at least 70 games in 4 of the past 5 seasons. He appeared in 68 contests the one year he failed to hit the 70 mark. At 6 feet, 9 inches tall, Reid is a power forward center combo who can stretch the floor and has hit 37.3% of his three-point attempts on nearly 4 tries per game over the course of his career. Those numbers are even better over the past 2 seasons and could very well improve playing alongside the likes of Stephen Curry, who draws more attention than any other deep threat shooter in the league. Reid is not an overpowering rebounder, though he averages just under 5 boards per game for his career and grabbed 6 rebounds per outing in 2024-25. He also put up career highs of 14.2 points, 2.3 assists, and 0.9 blocks per game last season. Golden State needs more interior size, more defense at the rim, and more shooting in key lineups. Thus, while Reid isn't a perfect fit, he does partially or fully check most of the Warriors' boxes. Reid's career campaign comes at the perfect time for him, as he heads toward free agency, at the end of a 3-year contract worth $42 million in total, which includes a $15 million player option in 2025 to 26. The timing isn't as ideal for Minnesota, as the Timberwolves face some critical financial decisions this summer in their search to finally get over the hump and earn a spot in the NBA Finals. Mo Dakhil of Bleacher Report predicted on May 30th that Reed will earn a significant raise this offseason, and the Warriors may well be the team to pay him. Having a player of this caliber coming off the bench for $13.9 million has been a bargain, though that should end after this season. The interest for him will be high. He can command a salary starting in the range of $20 million if he opts out, Dakhil wrote. Several teams need to add offensive punch off the bench. Reed is going to be one of their first calls. The Wolves will also fight to re-sign him, but they must be aware of the first apron and its repercussions. Jonathan Kuminga's upcoming restricted free agency remains the one big question mark heading into the Golden State Warriors' 2025 offseason. Being a restricted free agent means the Warriors reserve the right to match any offer sheet a team presents to Kuminga, which means the incoming fifth-year forward can still very much remain a Warrior heading into next season. However, one expected Kuminga suitor isn't expected to be, well, a suitor in the first place. Per The Athletic's Anthony Slater. There is not a current expectation that the Brooklyn Nets are preparing an offer sheet for Kuminga, but there are signs Brooklyn could be willing to use its open cap space as a vehicle to execute multi-team trade scenarios this summer, league sources said. A sign-and-trade scenario involving Kuminga is still on the table. However, the Warriors may be limited in the contracts they can obtain, per base year compensation rules. In regard to Kuminga's situation, the base year compensation rule in the CBA is a critical impediment. Assuming Kuminga gets at least a 20% raise, he will, and his new deal takes the Warriors over the cap, it will. The incoming salary will only count as 50% of Kuminga's outgoing salary for matching purposes. If Kuminga's next deal starts at $30 million, his next team absorbs it as such, but the Warriors would be looking at a $15 million incoming match. They could exceed it by 125%, $18.75 million in this scenario. But if they were to take $1 more than the theoretical match, $15 million in this scenario, they'd be hard capped at the first apron. Leaving all the accounting intricacies to the side, here's what matters. That combination punch, the base year rule plus first apron cap, significantly limits the amount of sign-and-trade opportunities that can realistically be executed.